Fellas, tonight we need to have an honest conversation, and it's gonna sting a little if you recognize yourself in it. A lot of men have been sold a lie. You were told that if you're respectful, if you're accommodating, if you're patient, emotionally available, and considerate, that you'll be chosen. That if you yield, if you compromise, now if you explain and overgive, affection will eventually show up as a reward. That's not kindness. That's covert bargaining. And most men don't even realize that they're doing it. Being a good guy has quietly become code for compliance, for suppressing your standards so you don't rock the boat, for saying yes, nephew, when you really mean no, for adjusting your boundaries in hopes she'll feel safe enough, comfortable enough, grateful enough to choose you. That's not confidence. That's not leadership. And nephew, attraction does not respond to it. Now, here's the hard truth. All right. And most men don't want to hear this, that compliance does not create desire. All right. It creates relief. Relief is not attraction. When you over accommodate, you're not being generous. You're signaling that you don't trust your own value unless someone else validates it. When you over explain, well, you're not being thoughtful. You're asking for permission to exist in her world. And when you
breathe the same air,
you're not being noble. You're trying to purchase certainty in a system that doesn't work that way. Women don't choose men because they're easy to negotiate with. They choose men who are grounded, self-directed, and unmoved by approval seeking. And you know what? That's where a lot of good guys get it twisted. They confuse kindness with lack of spine. They confuse patience with passivity. They confuse emotional availability with emotional leakage. And then they're shocked when they hear, oh, well, you're a great guy, but, or things like, I'm just not ready right now, or you deserve someone amazing. That's not rejection. That's disqualification. And nephew, it's not because you're bad, but because you handed over authority before it was ever tested. Now, tonight's episode, it's not about blaming women. We don't do that over here. It's not red pill rage. It's
you don't
not
blame what you can't control.
Becoming an a-hole. It's about correcting the misunderstanding that being chosen comes from being agreeable. We're breaking down real writing questions from men tonight who did everything right and still feel invisible, keep getting stuck after the first or second date, who are bending their standards out of fear of losing access, and are confused why effort, empathy, and patience aren't working. And we're telling you the hard truth that most men never hear. Attraction responds to self-governance, not compliance. Respect follows standards, not sacrifice. Affection isn't earned by yielding. It's invited by presence. And if you've been playing the role of the good guy and wondering why it ain't working, then nephew, this episode is for you. Johnny, let's get into this. My name is William. I'm your certified unk tonight. Johnny, go ahead and introduce yourself for our audience.
Yeah, well said, William. And, I'm Johnny Dumbbell. I'm a personal trainer and life coach here in beautiful Pittsburgh, where it got cold today, but it's supposed to rain the rest of the week, but it'll be above 50 degrees. So, hey, man, it looks like spring's coming. It's around the corner. I don't like to speak too soon, but it's on the way. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about my successes or show you how to pick up girls every time. I'm not here to show you what lines work or what clothing fits you best. That's not what I do here. I'm not here to share anything with you to make you better because of my level of success in life. Most of what you're going to learn from me is due to my failures. Mostly when it comes to things like self-respect, self-confidence, self-improvement at its very core. Women, relationships, personal growth. And by that, I mean physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, however you want to put it. But do me a favor, guys. whether you watch the entirety of this podcast or not, if you are contemplating doing something and it sounds stupid or maybe reckless or fiscally irresponsible, foolishly expensive, talk to us first. Leave us a comment. Call in. Shoot me an email. It's in the live chat right now. Before you do it, chances are one or both of us has done something equally, if not more, stupid than that, and we can talk you down by telling you what the result may and most likely will be. Remember one thing, especially when it comes to mistakes being made, like Uncle Bill was saying, is simps are not victims, no matter how much they feel that way. They are volunteers. And the thing of it is that we are the And so we're here to talk to you about that because, we've all made those mistakes. We're the screw up uncles you never wanted, but can learn a lot from. We screwed up, so you don't have to.
Well said, Johnny. Let's get into this tonight.
All right, so
why being a good guy isn't getting you chosen. So I'm sorry. Let's get into the questions.
Well, question one is from Tony, and Tony has Tony's kind of a cousin, more so than a nephew. He says, has anybody else never had a girlfriend in their late 30s? Tony's 39. He says, I guess I always try to be one of those guys that doesn't care about Valentine's Day. You try to not care anyway, or I'll make jokes like, oh, hey, I saved so much money, but deep down it bothers me, especially when people I know around me are not only in relationships, but are actually happy in them. I've always had self-esteem problems growing up and into my 20s and 30s. While I've improved many aspects of my life, I'm in good physical shape, I play guitar, have my own apartment, I even go to therapy regularly, I've always struggled with dating. Excuse me. Outside of one or two girls I've talked to for a few months, I've never had a real girlfriend. I'm about to be 40 next year. I'm to the point where I can land a date from time to time, using the apps, but they never go past the first or second date. Like Uncle Bill was describing. I always get the you're a great guy, but, or I'm not ready for dating, excuses. I know I should go out more, but even when I do, I still never meet anyone single. And the off chance I do, and the conversation is going well, I always run out of steam and can't follow up on it, or I panic and shut down. I get super anxious, can't talk much afterwards. I'm diagnosed ADHD, so maybe it's connected to that. I want a relationship, but wouldn't mind something strictly physical, if nothing else. I haven't had fun in 2 years, and now it's festering in my head and in my confidence. Does anyone go out and get laid anymore? How can I build, or at least show, some solid self-confidence and get more female attention?
All right, Tony. From great guy to being invisible. Okay, I'll talk about some of these mistakes that men don't see. Tony, the reason this hurts so bad is because you did what you were told. Nephew, you listened. You improved yourself. Tony, you stayed respectful. You avoided being that guy, and you're still alone. Now, that creates dangerous thoughts in a man's mind because you immediately went to what's wrong with me. But here's the correction, nephew. There is nothing wrong with you, but your frame, it is upside down. All right. You've been taught that attraction is something you earn by behaving correctly. And nephew, that's false. Attraction is something that emerges when a man is internally ordered. All right. Now, right now, you're externally impressive, but internally, you're still permission seeking. Walk into dates hoping to be accepted instead of assuming that you already are. All right. And that subtle shift, nephew, it changes everything. All right. Because women don't reject you based on you not being good enough. No, they disengage because they feel like you're waiting for them to decide who you are. Come on, that's exhausting to be around. All right.
And especially if you're willing to map that or morph that who you are around what you think she wants. That is not the way to gain respect from her. That is not the way to gain her desire to follow whatever lead you're putting out there. Why? Because you're not putting a lead out there. You haven't even identified who you are to yourself, let alone decided what you liked about yourself and was willing to share. Like I tell you every week, you're not leading with your own personality. You're not leading with your own persona, with your own charisma, with your own ability to command respect when you enter a room, for example, whatever it might be, whatever your forte is, you not only aren't exemplifying it, you haven't even found it yet. You're trying so hard to fit the mold that, first of all, you haven't found. Second of all, you don't even know what it's shaped like, but you know you want to fit into it because you want to be more popular with the ladies. Let me tell you something. When you have decided that you are going to live life on your own terms and you have made your own routine, you have made your own schedule, you have made your own goals that you are going to reach at the end of the day, the week, the month, the year, and you commit to the steps that you are going to have to take, ergo a plan to reach those goals, you will find along the way, the more you're focusing on your own success and reaching your next goal, the more you're going to notice attention from what you're seeking right now. Why? Because you're not out there going, hey, I'm doing really good. I'm working hard and I've got goals. Does everybody see my goals, me having them? You're not doing that. You're getting out there. You're waking up early every morning. You're making your bed. You are getting to the gym and doing the Johnny Dumbbell challenge at least every other day. And more importantly, you're hitting those showers afterwards, especially if you're going to work afterwards. You are doing all those things that fall into line that at least can show you that you are leading you. If you can lead you effectively day in and day out, most days, I'm not going to say all, but most days, you will be surprised who will be following you, whether you realize it or not.
All right, Johnny. Well, really, I'm talking to our nephew here. Here's a brutal truth, man. Most men never hear. Being a great guy often signals that you don't trust your own authority yet. Mm-hmm. So you outsource it. You
he's too afraid of sounding authoritative.
You over-adapt. You're over-explaining. You're over-validating. And she feels like she's sitting across from a man who's already yielding.
Yeah.
All right. And you're not dangerous. You're not polarizing. You're certainly not compelling. You're just nice. And look, Tony, I really appreciate you writing in. That's what this show is all about. Everybody watching on TikTok, we're live over on YouTube. This is a call-in show. You can call us with your questions. Our call-in number is 330-269-5142. Ask your favorite uncles. We got you. Now, back to Tony here. Tony, you don't need more confidence. You need self-containment. Confidence is loud, but containment, well, that's calm. Containment says, I'm present whether you like me or not. I'm interested, but I'm not attached. And it says, I don't rush intimacy to just regulate my anxiety. All right, women relax around contained men. Contained men, we don't perform. We don't chase outcomes. And we don't need sex to feel okay about ourselves.
Bruh. Well, and the thing of it is, it very well could be a biological need that he's feeling right now. But let's face it, there's a big part of that is definitely dopamine.
Well, Johnny, paradoxically, these are the kind of men that women want to sleep with. So,
sure.
Look, the real lesson here.
That's why he's not selling it. He's not. That's what I'm saying. I think he's trying too hard to kind of be the perfect guy. And, I think that in doing that, he becomes kind of like this puppet. Nobody wants a puppet. They're creepy.
Brandy says he needs to find who he is and not try to be what you think a woman wants.
Yeah, because it's going to come out.
For you, Brandy. That's exactly what he needs.
Yeah, the falsehood of it. Excuse me. The falseness of it is going to come out really, really quickly if that's something that you're doing too. Never mind her losing respect for the fact that you're trying to mold yourself around what you think she wants. First of all, just like when you fake self-confidence, they can smell that like a fart in the car with the windows up. They know that you don't have confidence and self-esteem. Okay. And when you convey that, you're projecting that. Don't think for a second her mind isn't going to how you might project that should the two of you get into a relationship, all in the flash of a few seconds. These are things that you have to be careful of because you are out there just trying to be what they want. But you know something, even just for your own mental health, have you ever stopped and asked yourself what you want? I mean, have you ever asked yourself like where you want to be in a couple of years? Because you're not that much, you're about, 45 minutes younger than us. I mean, you're at a point in your life where, obviously you've got a stable career and everything else in your life is stable. Now, I can respect you wanting to find somebody to share that with, but at the same time, I think that you maybe need to discover a little bit more about what you like about yourself outside the realm of what you've accomplished. Take a look at yourself in the mirror and decide what you like about your personality or, whatever it happens to be. Start there and build outward. But yeah, I mean, it's great to get female attention, but the fact of the matter is that until you give yourself the kind of attention that you need, for that personal growth, for that ability to go out there and feel good about what you're putting out there just by stepping out the door, I think that you're going to need a little bit of time to get to that.
Okay, well, look, Tony, like I said, we appreciate you writing in. And one thing that I want to do here is give you the game on how you should be moving forward. You have some teachable lessons in your question, sir, and other young men, other men of all ages are going to have these same questions. So I want to go ahead and break this down for you and give you something you can go back and watch and try to learn from. All right. Anxiety, it's felt before it's even heard, nephew. You don't talk women out of attraction. Your nervous system does. All right. And you need to understand politeness without polarity equals invisibility. Attraction needs a little pressure. It needs some tension, not chaos, but tension. And something that you going forward, look, please. Sexual scarcity it rewires your behavior, if I'm being honest. And it's going to require, and I don't want to turn this episode into semen retention, but when sex becomes an obsession, every interaction becomes loaded. You're outcome dependent. And I'll tell you something else. Dates, nephew, they're not about being liked. They're about seeing who aligns with you. So please remember that going forward. And the last little bit of game I really want to give you here that I noticed on your question here is you got to understand that masculine presence, all right, it goes a long way. And it's stillness. It's not effort. Stillness reads as confidence and effort reads as need. Now, go forth and conquer, nephew. We want updates. We want to know how you've been doing. Please write back in and follow up with us. And let us know if you need any one-on-one coaching. We got you, nephew.
By the way, shout out to my live chat, Mini Mom. Good to see you as always. Love you. Glad you're here.
Hey, shout out to everybody in Johnny's live chat. Y'all keep these lives going. Like the stream, share the stream. You know why we do this. We're doing this try to help teach these young men how they should be moving as men. And back to Tony real quick, just before we move on. Tony, all right, Thursday night, we break down Bumble dating profiles, and Uncle Johnny and I give you the game on your profile. If you want us to rate your profile, if you want us to tell you how you can improve what you got in your bio, how you can improve the prompts, how you can do better pictures, reach out to us about that, Tony. We will help you with your dating profile.
Yeah, screenshots will do, man.
Yeah.
Also in the chat, Jaxie Rose, good to see you. We're doing great, kicking ass, taking names,
All right, Johnny, what else we got tonight? Nephews, call in with your question. TikTok, we're live over on YouTube. Our call-in number is 330-269-5142. Hit us up with your questions. We got you.
All right, so question 2. This one, we got another one from all the way across the pond again. So this one's coming from Ipswich in the UK. This is Brett. Brett the Brit. I like that. Cool. He says, I've started seeing this girl, found out she has a high body count. Brett says, I've been watching your podcast here in Suffolk. That's in the UK for anybody else wondering. For a few weeks now. I enjoy your advice, and I'm hoping that one or both of you can help. I've been seeing this girl for about 2 months, and it's begun to get pretty serious. We got onto the topic of body counts. We're both in our early 20s. I'm 23. She's 22. Right. I myself have 7. She has 38. For context, She grew up without a father figure and a mom who had a lot of different males around her, so maybe that has something to do with it. She also would hang out with females 3 to 4 years older than she. She said she started sleeping around when she was around 15, 16, with 25 plus people who went to her school at the time. When she was still 17, she got into a relationship with a guy who was 23, and that lasted 2 years. They broke up 3 years ago, and in that time, she was with 12 to 13 more people. I like this girl a lot, but I guess I'm trying to justify if I can accept this high body count or not. Part of me can understand her sleeping around that much in school as she was still young. I believe her upbringing showed her that that behavior was acceptable. She said she regrets it deeply, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time accepting it myself. Has either of you been in a similar situation? Is a body count like hers a red flag? Why or why not? Thank you both in advance. P.S. Uncle Bill, I must know where you got that neon sign above your head.
Hey, we could talk about that some other time. Okay. Right now, we need to talk about body count. And then all the red pill people who support Johnny are going to get really upset with Uncle Bill tonight because I'm going to completely kill this body count myth for you, nephew. I got you. All right, Brett, let me say this clearly. Body count doesn't matter the way men think it does. And the reason this conversation gets toxic online is because insecure men try to turn personal fear into universal law. And here's the truth. Here's the truth that actually matters. A woman's past does not determine her behavior with a man who leads himself. What matters is who she becomes around you, nephew. And I'll tell you right now why men fixate on body count. It's absolutely ridiculous. But men fixate on body count when they're afraid of comparison, when they're afraid of replacement, when they're afraid of disrespect, when they're afraid of being played. So they look for numbers to protect themselves. And nephew, I need you to understand that is not strength. That is fear disguised as logic. You don't need her sexual resume. That's weird. That's so weird. All right. Here's what you do need to know. And I'll be honest with you here, guys. Does she follow your lead? All right. Does this woman respect your boundaries? Does she adjust her behavior when your standards are clear? And does she value access to you? All of that counts way more than bodies. Now, here's the part nobody talks about, but we all need to. It's not the woman's fault that many men often lie to them to get sex. Bruh. It's not the woman's fault that they trusted men who had no intention of leading, protecting, or committing.
She definitely trusted all 38 of them.
It's not the woman's fault that they made poor decisions under poor leadership. Bruh. All right. Men complain about a woman's past while ignoring the fact that weak men created that environment, dishonest men benefited from it, and undisciplined men normalize it. And then a grounded man shows up for the first time in her life and everything changes. Now, here's what actually happens when a man with standards enters her life, nephew. When a woman meets a man who moves with clarity, who sets boundaries, who removes access when disrespected, who doesn't negotiate attraction, and who doesn't chase reassurance, she'll self-correct, not out of fear, but out of alignment. And this is because for the first time, access to a man actually means something to her. All right. Her past, it doesn't disappear. It loses relevance. All right. And that's because what governs her behavior now is your frame. All right. And look, I'm going to give you a little bit of truth here about high body count women because, hey, I'm not a certified unk for no reason. I do have lots of experience with all kinds of women. All right. Some women have high body counts and they're very chaotic. But some women have high body counts and become deeply loyal when properly led. Some women have low counts and they're still unstable. All right, numbers don't predict behavior, but leadership does. Now, I'm going to give you I want to give you the game on how to move forward, and then I'll let Johnny respond. I know he just can't wait to. All right, so I want to give you a few things that you could go back on the live stream and rewatch. And I need you to understand that men who ask about body counts early, they don't trust themselves. They're trying to pre-qualify safety instead of creating it themselves. All right, now I need you to understand things like standards are enforced through behavior and not debate. We as men, we don't argue values. You just move accordingly. All right, now here's something else that's important for you to move forward. Removing access is the ultimate standard. All right, not lectures, not ultimatums, not silence or distance, because women, nephew, listen up. Women align with men they respect. Respect comes from consistency, not control. Her past doesn't matter as much as her response to your leadership. And watch how she adjusts, not just what she admits. And anybody wants to challenge me on body counts, please call up. Our call-in number is 330-269-5142. Unc here would love to know why you're so threatened by a woman's body count.
Well, Brett, here's the thing. If you were to ask me if there is a number that would just be too many by the age of 23, I wouldn't be able to give that to you. I do think that past behavior, especially when she's still in that youth area, is kind of indicative of possible present and possible future results. I think the statistics are kind of against you at this point where, at this point, she's 22 years old. You've only been seeing her for a couple of months. And there's probably a lot of guys in her wake that have the same beginning to the same story of dating the same girl. Now, is that wrong? No. I mean, this is their youth. This is kind of the culture that we're in nowadays. Do I think her body count matters? No, but I am curious about one thing. How did you get on the topic of this? I feel like you asked. I really feel like you asked. And if you did, I'm going to slap you, Brett. I love you, man, but I'm jumping a plane and I'm going to come over there and I'm going to slap you. Because the thing of it is that I don't really care so much that you're intimidated by her body count, so much as the fact that I really strongly believe that you asked her. You straight up asked her. And I'm telling you right now, that is a lack of self-confidence. That is something, obviously, I'm not saying that you're wrong for it bothering you. I'm not even saying that you're wrong for no longer speaking to her if that is a deal breaker for you. I'm never going to sit here and say you shouldn't have this standard. You have a standard if that is your standard, and that's it. And if that's what it is, then what you're really asking us is for permission to stand by that standard and get rid of her based on something that, hey, personally bothers you about her. And if that's all this is about, then yeah, if that's your business, you're willing to die on that hill, your uncles will die there with you, buddy. Because at least you're making a decision and you're vetting her based on your own personal preferences. Don't let anybody tell you that modern men are not allowed to have preferences. And some of them may seem out of line, but they're yours. And you have every right to hold out until you find a woman who meets those standards. And if you end up being alone, well, at least you didn't settle. I don't know why people are so afraid of dying alone. You'll be dead. Who cares? Anyway, so what it sounds like you're doing after that is now you're going right to justifying her high body count because you like this girl. She's got a high body count, but you like her. So, she grew up without a father figure. Yeah, and her mom had a lot of different guys. She had a train going into her bedroom, whatever it was. I mean, so, maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, okay, statistically, great. The after-school specials we saw in the 80s and 90s would definitely suggest that that's a possibility. And look, statistics themselves would definitely show that that is a grand possibility. But that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you should decide to continue seeing this girl. So she said she started sleeping around when she was 15 or 16. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that you asked her that too. this is a situation where it sounds to me like maybe you, and I don't like to use the word afraid. I think you don't want to feel as if you are being compared to that many other guys because you're thinking the odds of you being the best out of that bunch are less than it would be if her body count were lower, maybe. But you can rest assured you probably wouldn't end up being the worst, number one. Number two, you know, you're bringing up the fact that at 17 she dated a guy who was 23, which I understand in the UK is legal. I guess I don't know. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know in the live chat. I don't know if that's legal or not over there, but it doesn't matter. The thing of it is, they did that thing. They were together for 2 years. This is an awful lot of detail that you got about this girl's past. So I honestly am actually not going to disagree with Bill's theories on body count, but what I am going to say is I'm going to take it a step back further. You entered into something with a girl that you knew nothing about until you started prying into her past, other than the fact that you were ridiculously attracted to her, and like the many men before you, you want to get this. You want to hit that. Let's face it, man. That's what you want.
Trying to clap them cheeks, nephew.
You're trying to clap them cheeks, man, and don't play with us.
Clap them cheeks.
Look, I'm just going to tell you, my friend. Listen, nephew, I was 23 once too, and there were some things that I'm ashamed of that I would have done if she was hot enough. And I think that's what's happening here. You are asking for our permission to look past her promiscuity. You are asking for our permission to go the other route and decide that that's a little bit too much for you to try. And I think somewhere in between the lines, you're asking us if it's okay that you're number 39 that hits and quits. Now, I'm not going to tell you to do any of those things. I'm not going to tell you. You got to make that decision yourself. Those are your three options here. Okay? You like this girl a lot? Great. Does that translate to you want to hit it a lot, or you just really like this girl a lot? Because here you are trying to, you said yourself, you're trying to justify if you can accept this high body count. And here you go back to justifying, what you believe is a high body count. So you've already established, you've tried in 3 different paragraphs to justify her high body count, which goes to show us that, yes, it does bother you, but because you like her so much, you want to throw a whole bunch of excuses in there. Here's where you have a problem. This high body count thing is obviously a boundary for you. This is obviously something that is not part of what you're looking for in your particular program. Okay? And that is okay for that to be part of it. The problem that I have with you is because you are trying to bargain with yourself on whether or not you should compromise because you want this girl so much. That's where we have a problem, Brett. That's where we have a problem, because I'm not saying it's right or wrong for you to have the standard that you don't like a girl with a promiscuous past. Fine. What I have a problem with is you've established that boundary. You told yourself that wasn't the route you wanted to go. But here's this girl that you like so much that you're willing to compromise your own boundaries, your own principles, your own ethics, your own morals, whatever they happen to be. That's where you have an issue, because now you're backing down to potential pushback. That hasn't even happened yet. That's where we have a problem. That's where we have to tell you, if this is something that you're not going to put up with, then don't put up with it. If this is something that you don't want to enter into as a committed relationship, then don't. But don't sit there and try to argue with your own morals and values and principles that you established yourself just because, well, yeah, but I got to make an exception because she's fucking hot. Look, I've done it. I'm sure Uncle Bill's done it. A lot of guys watching this, I'm sure, have done it. We've compromised our principles because she was just that hot. And at 23, we're young and stupid enough to have that excuse. But I'm going to tell you what, 20 years from now, you're going to look back and go, oh my God, what an idiot. And I say this to any guy approaching 40. If you can't look at yourself 20 years ago and say, my God, what an idiot, you might still be that idiot. We just kind of wanted to graduate you from that to wiser man and a smarter, individual when it comes to understanding the writing on the wall as we possibly can. I was somewhere around 30 before it happened for me. I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to understand that your principles are your principles, and no matter what the reasoning is, if she doesn't meet him, she doesn't meet him. But stop trying to give yourself permission to compromise. You compromise on where to go to dinner, not on how you're going to live your life or conduct your relationships. That's all I got to say about that.
Nephew, we here host conversations about modern dating. And I'm going to get into this just a little bit more because body count, in my opinion, it's one of the most emotionally charged, intellectually shallow conversations that we could have in modern dating, and most men don't even realize why they're stuck in it. So,
Well, Uncle Bill,
I'm going
it
to take it
involves the
on
ego.
my
Of course, it's painful. You know.
well, I'm going to take it on myself to dismantle this just a little bit more, Johnny. Because after all, we're here to help the nephews.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to talk about this myth, why this myth even exists. And the body count obsession exists because insecure men are trying to solve three fears: the comparison fear. Am I better than the guys before me? The replacement fear. Will she get bored and leave? Or a control fear. If she's experienced, I can't control the narrative. Right. All right. So they turn to numbers because numbers feel safe.
Because we're guys, we're guys and we think logically, and that's where logical thinking is not necessarily to our advantage. Because now we're thinking that we can mathematically figure this out. It doesn't work that way, fellas.
Yeah, well, numbers, they might feel like leverage, but numbers don't give you leverage. Nephew, your
maybe
frame
in sales
does. And look, here's the real bit. High body count equals high risk, and this is what men get wrong. They assume that sexual history predicts future disloyalty, and that's not how female behavior works. A woman's past sexual volume does not determine her future loyalty. Her respect for you does. Loyalty flows towards emotional stability, clear standards, consistent leadership, and a man who can remove access. All right, it does not flow towards insecurity, interrogation, or comparison. And look, I'm going to get into this a little bit more, Johnny, because the next level here that most men don't want to hear is a woman with experience is not harder to manage. She's just harder to impress. And that scares the men who rely on money and status instead of presence. All right. If she has options, experience, and awareness, you can't manipulate her with surface level charm. You got to do the work, nephew, and actually lead the woman. And that's why insecure men prefer low experienced women. They're safer competing in smaller arenas. But a grounded man, hey, we don't fear comparison. He doesn't compete with ghosts. As men, we set the tone on how we move forward. And let's kill the biggest lie here, Johnny. I'm gonna do it right now. It's her fault she slept with those men. No, it's not her fault that those men lied to her. It's not her fault that
that's if they all did. I mean, come on, man.
Commitment. It's not her fault that she operated under a weak male leadership. All right, and here's the part these men don't want to.
That's assuming that all 38 were actual relationships and none of them are one night stands. Like, come on, man. A good portion of those by 22 probably were. Nephew, not saying it's wrong, just saying that's probably how it was.
Nephew, here's the part you don't want to admit to. A lot of those men were just younger versions of you. Undisciplined, chasing validation, and wanting access without responsibility. So if you judge her for past chaos, but you would have participated in that chaos 5 years ago, you're not principled, you're hypocritical. So let me tell you what actually matters. And look, this is where the game is. All right. Forget the number, but watch this instead. Does she follow your instructions? Does she respect your time? Does she adjust when boundaries are enforced? And does she correct herself without argument? Most importantly, nephew, does this woman value access to you? Because that's predictive. A woman who aligns under structure is safer than a low count woman who resists authority.
Fred, I got to tell you.
What he really needs, Johnny, is a leadership shift. All right. When he shows up as calm, unreactive, not jealous, not interrogating her, and not seeking reassurance, the woman will actually be able to relax. When she relaxes, you aren't threatened by her past. She becomes more invested in preserving her future with you because now, nephew, you're different. You're not controlling. You're not reactive. You're not insecure. You're stable. And women, they protect access to stability. Now, real quick, Johnny, while men ask about body count 1 month in. Now, let's talk about this. This is something you were talking about, because what you're really saying is, tell me if I should be afraid. And that question, it exposes how fragile you are. It might be your ego. It could be half a dozen things. But a confident man doesn't need to know how many. He just needs to know how this woman is going to behave. And forget the red pill, nephew. We talk about me pill here on my channel, but here's the hard pill. And if you can't accept her past cleanly, then you need to leave cleanly. Don't stay and punish this woman for something she did before she even knew you existed. That's weak. Standards are quiet. They don't shame. They don't debate. Johnny, I don't want to keep ranting online here, but red pill ideology thrives on statistics, but real leadership thrives on observation. Statistics won't save you from insecurity, but self-governance will. You don't need more data, nephew. You need emotional discipline. You need sexual confidence. You need the ability to walk away and the ability to enforce standards without anger. Because here's the ultimate truth. A woman with 50 bodies who respect you is safer than a woman with 3 bodies who doesn't. Respect determines behavior, not history. Now, when you become a man who doesn't chase, when you become a man who doesn't interrogate, who doesn't compare, who doesn't fear competition, you become a man who removes access when disrespected, her body count becomes irrelevant, because what governs her behavior now is your presence. That's the level. All right. So, nephew, please go back, play this clip. We're timestamp it at 45 minutes, 22 seconds, and get you the game you need to move forward. Thank you for writing in, nephew. We appreciate it.
Brett, final thought here is, I'm going to tell you that if that is a deal breaker, it's okay that that's a deal breaker for you. I personally don't think that it necessarily paints you as insecure. What paints you as insecure is the fact that you blatantly asked. What paints you as insecure is that you are second guessing your own standards because you like her too much. That's what I want you to focus on right there. I got no issue with you having a problem with her high body count. If you would rather be with a woman who doesn't have a high body count, those are your standards. That is your mold to fit. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that what you need to get to the bottom of is why you felt the need to ask. But, like I said, for Brett, as well as for Tony, I sent you both a copy of the first 4 weeks of the Johnny Dumbbell Challenge. I expect you to get those done 3 days a week, and after 4 weeks, add a day. But let me know how that's going. And thanks for writing in, man. We got one more question tonight.
Thank you, sir, for writing in. We do appreciate you.
And this is Aiden. Aiden is definitely one of our younger nephews. Looks like he's 21. Sorry, 21. He says, is it too much to ask for basic courtesy? I'm seeing a lot of ghosting happening these days. To clarify, the type of ghosting I'm referring to is the kind where the conversation follows a pattern such as this. Me, after a date with this person, sends a text. Hey there, I had an amazing time on our date at the concert. Her reply, I really loved ABBA. I've been following them for ages, and I love catching them whenever I can. I think it's kind of cool that a girl that young likes ABBA. Hey, whatever. Not my style, but she likes the classics. Anyway, me, that's wicked. I really think they did a great job with Mamma Mia. What's your second favorite song from last night? Her, No reply. Ghosted. Never responded again. Now, while I understand it's not about forcing relationships, I'm repeatedly seeing a similar pattern these days interacting with numerous women, not just with me, but with other men as well. I don't think expecting a normal human interaction and asking someone to reciprocate effort is asking too much or is trying to force a relationship. Is this the norm nowadays? Is this yet another thing I have to get used to if I even want to try to find a meaningful relationship? Or is it possible that I'm looking at this all wrong? Um,
Yeah.
my first question would be procedurally, procedurally, why are you going to concerts as a first date? That is even worse than going
Great
to the
question.
movies. At least in the movies, you can whisper to each other and be heard. You are taking this girl on a concert date on the first date? I think I know why she ghosted you, bro. Here's the thing, man. What you did was you probably had this conversation that went something along the lines of, "Oh, hey, I hear you like ABBA. I got 2 tickets to go Friday night. Oh my god, yeah," or whatever happens to be. Or she could have even said, "Oh, I wish I could go to the show," and you liked her, so you went and got the tickets. I don't care how it happened. The fact of the matter is that you took this girl to a concert for a first date. For all I know, she'd be a coworker of yours, and you thought this was a date, and she thought you were being a friend. I don't think that's what's happened here. I think what happened here was that you were so excited to go out on a date with this girl, you wanted to make it a magical night, and so you made it a concert. Just bad, Aiden. We don't do concerts on the first date. We don't do movies on the first date. And so here's the thing. You text her the next day, "Hey, I had an amazing time on our date. I don't mind the follow up." But the problem is this. She replies, I mean, all you said was it was same day. I don't know if it was right away or what, but she says, "I love ABBA. I've been following for his." So you asked her what her second favorite song is. Now, if I know ABBA fans, Dancing Queen is always everybody's favorite, so I can understand the second favorite question. But the thing of it is that this girl that you took to a concert that she really, really, really wanted to go to on a first date, now all of a sudden has disappeared. Her phone smashed into a million pieces. It fell into the closet and it's in Narnia now. She just can't answer you, right? You know, I mean, the thing of it is, yeah, I mean, you tried to make this grandiose kind of first date kind of thing happen when it could be that this girl just really wanted to go to this concert. You took her. No, it's not forcing. It's not about forcing relationships, but you're seeing a pattern when interacting with numerous women because you're probably practicing your dating skills by means of the same methodology. Bill, I think what's happening here is he's kind of going about things the same way every time and getting the same results. Because I'm hearing a lot of frustration just in the way he wrote.
Aiden, look, ghosting feels disrespectful because men interpret it as dismissal. You have to realize this. Women often experience early dating as pressure escalation. All right, same behavior, but different nervous system. When you sent, "I had a great time," and she replies, and then I'm trying to think, he followed up pretty quickly, right? And then he asked another question.
Yeah, he said less than 10 minutes later. "That's wicked. I really think they did a great job with Mamma Mia. What was your second favorite song from last night?"
And then she disappears, and you think she owes me courtesy. But you got to understand, she feels like this is moving faster than my interest. And look,
Well,
here's
either that or it's just kind of like he was so putting it all out there right away. I don't know if it scared her or if it bored her, but either way, she's not sticking around to find out.
all right, well, here's why ghosting happens. The real reasons why ghosting happens. All right, happens when interest is uneven or emotional investment is mismatched. Another reason ghosting can happen is because a better option appears. All right, a sense of expectation forming. You got to understand, most women, they don't want confrontation. It's not cruelty, nephew. This is avoidance.
Yep.
Now, here's the here's the brutal truth about follow-ups.
And I'm going to keep it real with you. We owe you the truth. You wrote into the show. Shout out to you for writing into the show, Aiden. We appreciate this. All right. Follow-up text. They're not really about conversation. They're more about anxiety regulation.
Yep.
Right. Men text to relieve uncertainty, and women feel that uncertainty as pressure. And we tell you this all the time, sir. Pressure kills attraction. And I look, I'm a big advocate for silence being an answer, because silence says, I'm not there. I'm undecided. You're not my priority. And all
I really
of this
just wanted to go to the
stems from
concert.
fact that you don't need clarification. All right, nephew, what you need is self-respect. The man who chases closure teaches her that his peace depends on her response. And that, sir, will destroy any kind of leverage you have. I really want you to understand that ghosting is not rude. It's more informative than anything else. It tells you exactly where you stand. All right.
Yeah, we tell you all the time, no response is a response.
Well, it tells you invested too early, and it tells you
And too much. I know
very importantly
what concert tickets cost.
The attraction wasn't mutual. All right. Information, it saves you time. Bitterness wastes it. And look, I'm sure that I have been ghosted, but I look, here's how
happens to the best of us, man.
Look, the grounded man, here's how grounded men move if this were to happen. All right. We don't double text. We don't seek explanation. We don't internalize it. We don't complain about fairness. We just recalibrate and move forward. And you know what, Johnny? I always tell these nephews we're giving them the truth here. So I just remembered I guess I got ghosted last week.
Bruh. It happens, man.
I had a match on Bumble. By my third message, we had exchanged numbers and I was off of the app. My first text message was the coffee date we always talk about setting up. Which she said, yeah, sure. She was off Sunday. And then I named the place and the time and I never heard back from her. So I guess technically I got ghosted last week.
You got your response. And you know, that's exactly it, Aiden. And that's what we're saying here is that, you're going to have that happen. Statistically speaking alone, it's going to happen to you. Here's the thing. If it's going to happen every once in a great while, let's make sure it happens when you haven't blown the kind of money you got to blow on concert tickets. Let's make sure that it's maybe next time, instead, you can get ghosted after a coffee date, and instead of blowing $400 on 2 concert tickets, you only blew $8 on a couple of lattes. Your time and your money are the most valuable things, especially your time. I don't care how rich you become. You're never going to get more than 24 hours in a day. And when that day's over, you ain't going to get that particular day back ever again. All right. And this day you spent with her at a concert, I'm sure you had a great time. But afterwards, you wasted a couple of seconds sending a text, and then you spent more time agonizing over why it might have happened. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and get into why, because first of all, the why doesn't matter. But second of all, even if it did, you're never going to find that out. She's gone. And it's okay that she's gone. It was just one date, right? But like I say, in the future, make it a much less expensive first date, man. Because, here's the thing. Now you're left with a whole bunch of questions. Did you come on too strong? Maybe. But maybe not. Maybe all she really wanted was to go to the concert. She got her, that wish was fulfilled, and she kind of failed opportunity. That could have been it too. The point of the matter is this. None of that really matters. You've got to start, like I said, we're not over-investing in a first date. We're not making this some grand, gesture. We're not making this, this is about vetting and getting to know somebody. And you're not going to be able to do that over, the kind of noise you're going to have at a concert. Movie dates, concert dates, those are the worst first dates. You shouldn't even be going to those things for the first 60 to 90 days. You should be spending that time getting to know each other. Then you'll know what kind of movie or concert to go to together.
Aiden,
never mind the money.
Listen, we appreciate you writing in. So I want to give you some game moving forward that's going to help you out. Okay. So what I would like you to understand is that dating is not symmetrical. Interest is rarely equal at the same time. Take it from Unc here. Also, this need you have for closure, nephew, it's actually a need for validation. We need to work on that with you because validation seeking kills attraction. You've got to cut that out. Now, you're probably wondering how to create polarity. And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, nephew, because space
I'm sure he's asking while
creates
they watch.
polarity, but chasing a woman collapses it. Now, here's something that I need you to understand. Your dignity matters more than clarity. All right. You don't negotiate interest. And men who can walk away are, nephew, we're the ones they remember. All right. Not because we punish them, but because we're grounded.
Mhm.
So just remember that going forward. And please work with Johnny on getting rid of that validation seeking behavior you've been doing. That's going to cause you problems every single time.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, when you do the choosing, you win every time, even if it ends up being a bad choice. But at least you made it. You did it on your terms. Your terms, not hers.
Men, you don't lose women because you're bad. You lose women because you try to earn what you have to embody. All right, good guys bargain, grounded men lead. And I got to be honest with you, nephew, that's the difference here. Now, fellas, if you heard yourself in any of these questions tonight, good. That means you're awake. Tony isn't alone. Brett isn't crazy, and Aiden isn't wrong for wanting respect. Men are trying to earn affection instead of embodying authority. And you've been told your whole life to be good. You've been told to be polite. You've been taught to be accommodating, to be patient, and be understanding. And look, nephew, all of those are very honorable, but they're not suitable for self-governance. They're not. Here's what I'm trying to say.
You're meeting
Being a
somebody
good
else's
guy
standard. Yeah.
without standards turns you into a negotiator. Being a good guy without containment turns you into an applicant. And being a good guy without your own boundaries, it turns you into an option. Options, nephew, they don't get chosen, they get explored. Now,
Or
self-governance.
sifted through. Yep.
Self-governance, well, it's different. Self-governance is when you don't chase clarity, you assess alignment. You don't panic when she pulls back. You stay grounded. You don't perform for approval. Nephew, you move with purpose. That's not arrogance. That's order, and order is attractive. Look, some of you are exhausted. You're tired and of feeling invisible. You're tired of wondering if you measure up. You're tired of watching other men get the girl. Well, you get a compliment. All right. But the answer isn't becoming colder. It isn't becoming bitter. And nephew, it definitely isn't becoming louder. The answer is becoming internally regulated. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Women don't align with the nicest man in the room. They align with the most stable man in the room. Stable in his standards, stable in his emotions, stable in his direction. And when you become that man, nephew, I promise you, something shifts. You stop trying to be chosen, and you're the one who starts doing the choosing. You stop competing with her past. You start evaluating her present. You stop fearing ghosting. You start recognizing misalignment early, and you start asking, does this align with the life that I'm building? Because nephew, that is self-governance. And that's the difference between a man who wants to be validated and a man who leads his own life. You don't need to become a jerk. You need to become anchored. You don't need more data, nephew. You need more discipline. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You need to be respected by yourself enough to walk away when it's necessary. Because at the end of the day, nephews, attraction isn't a reward for good behavior. It's a response to grounded masculinity. Build that and watch what changes. John, you got anything you want to say before we wrap this up tonight?
Yeah, it's okay, young men, to be alone because you have what other people feel are ridiculous standards. It is not okay to be alone because you're too busy trying to meet other people's standards and you keep failing, so to speak. I hope we left you with a little bit of information tonight, a little bit of a way of moving forward and a little way of, gathering your self-confidence and, recycling it over and over each day for more than it's worth. And what I mean by that is going to bed feeling better than you did that morning. You owe that to yourself. Those are the 24 hours you were given, and you owe it to yourself to fill those up with things that are going to be good for you. Good food, sleep, meditation, exercise, all those good things. I say that because between now and Thursday, we got 3 days. I'm not going to be there, neither is Uncle Bill, to help you or bail you out of jail. So keep the drugs and alcohol to a minimum. But if between then you do drink, don't drive. And if you do drive, don't park, because accidents cause people. Good night.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it.
Yeah.